Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another episode of De.aR Truth. I'm your host, De.R. Back again in the car. It's going to be like this for a little while, I guess, until things change. Because I find this time in the morning like really peaceful. I'm, fresh off of a good meditation. Nice little routine I have in the morning that I do every day to, get connected with Source, to gather my thoughts, to make sure that I'm centered and focused on, my goals and the things that I have that I want to accomplish in my life, all the way down to my behavior, all the way down to my thoughts, my choices, mostly how I feel. I feel that for a majority of my life after, childhood, I experienced different levels of anxiety, right? So we group that word into just a emotion, right? Or some type of diagnosis, right? Of whatever we believe anxiety is. But nobody ever breaks anxiety down into detail and, makes sense of what it truly is, like on a, fundamental level. Like when you think of anxiety, a lot of people may think, just nervous or, eager to do something or jittery. Those are like little behaviors or like conclusive end results of, the cause of where the anxiety is stemming from. But anxiety is basically, you can look at it from two ways. So one is you can see it as fear of the unknown, so you're mostly cautious, but you may be pulled between multiple thoughts. It's not like there's a fire over there. I know there's fire over there. I see the fire over there. So I'm at peace with fire being over there. It's more so about like, is there fire over there? Mm-hmm. Because if there is, and how hot is it? Maybe it's too hot for me to, get too close to. Maybe it'll burn me. Maybe it'll burn me to death, and you're bouncing back and forth between all those thoughts all at the same time, while trying to manage like 2 or 3 other fires that are happening simultaneously. You know what I mean? So that back and forth happens at such a rapid rate in your current state of, wherever you are, that it causes you to, function a particular way. Some people, hands are sweaty. Some people are nervous. Some people act out. Some people are angry, frustrated, just full of fear. Some people overcompensate with kindness. That was something I did for a long time, only because I was raised to kind of like respect adults, and I grew up in an environment that was very testy. Everybody quick to have a temper, even myself included, So you had to be cautious of how you moved around people because, you could say the wrong word and it'll turn into a fight immediately. You know what I'm saying? If you say what's up the wrong way to the wrong person, that's, kind of crazy these days to think about, but truth enough. So that causes you to live in a particular state. So most people who deal with anxiety have learned to move in a way that their lives is in a state of caution. You know what I mean? So you may only experience anxiety when you go to work because you're so in tune with trying to keep your job that you're making sure that you do everything to the best of your ability to not get fired. And some of those things may not align with your personality. And so when it doesn't align with your personality, you may be acting and behaving from a state of response without you even being conscious of the responses that you're, choosing to do. And so that doesn't align with your soul, so that sends you into a state of like, what the hell going on? And then boom, you have anxiety. And so that happens in so many different levels, like some people get anxiety when they drive. Could be because, when they were younger, they got into a car accident, or, maybe they think they might just get into a car accident, so they're super nervous to drive. Maybe they're, wondering, is this person going to turn in on me? Am I in the right lane? Am I going the right way? You know, so all of those doubtful thoughts combined together creates that state of anxiety. So I hope that made sense. I broke that down to the best of my ability, given the situation that I'm in, where I have to drive and talk to you guys at the same time. Obviously, I'm pretty comfortable driving. I've been honestly driving since I was 3 years old. I remember my first time driving. My granddad let me sit in his lap, pause, and drove up the levee. And yeah, I was just sitting in his lap and holding the steering wheel. And yeah, I've been driving ever since then. From there, I had to learn to cut the grass on the lawnmower, so that was a lot of my driving training there. And then from there, when I was about like 9, 10, I started driving cars, So those are my driving experiences. And yeah, here I am now, 36 years old and still driving. So I consider myself an expert, you know what I'm saying? So, you can't talk to me about driving. I should be in NASCAR or the Indy league. But anyway, so I said all that to say, a lot of people are unaware of their states of anxiety. For a long time, I was unaware of mine. I didn't realize that I snapped fast because, my environment was, that I grew up in was very, testy, you know what I mean? So I came through life and using that same defense mechanism in places where it was uncalled for. So now my energy's a little too strong for the situation, And then also too, I was always taught to respect, my elders, right? And so, cause I was raised like deep South, you know what I'm saying? Like country people, and they respect their elders, you know what I'm saying? And respect grown folk, listen to grown folk, do what grown folks say. Not knowing that all grown folks ain't smart, you know what I mean? So when a grown person tell you to do something, typically, if you raised like that, you'll end up doing some shit that ain't beneficial to you, even as a child. Like, all my teachers weren't smart. All my teachers weren't the best people. And growing up in, I held on to that thought process. I never, truly succumbed to the fact that I should listen to adults. I just knew that when I got old enough, I would make my own choices. So I always had my own mind, but I still, suffer from this authoritative principle where I listen to authority over my own choices, you know what I'm saying? And listen, not only, you gotta get you some water, gotta stay hydrated. But not only that, that also led me to, fold to authority in a sense of somebody who has a higher position than me. If they say this is how things goes, I relinquish that responsibility to them, although I had a different viewpoint than they did, I had a different perspective, different paradigm than they did. But I wasn't in a position to really make choices, so therefore I let their choice trump my choice against my will, piss me off, make me angry, trigger me. Now I'm back reacting in the same environment that I used to be in, which is all the way I had anxiety. So these are just like different perspectives of how to view anxiety and fear and things like that of that nature that causes you to not be confident in life or confident with yourself, right? So it took me a long time to understand, why I felt the way I felt with my emotions. Excuse me. Why sometimes I was unable to calm myself down, even though my mind would say it's not that big a deal, but my body was still reacting and I was fighting mad, you know what I mean? So I had to train myself. I had to really focus and get in tune with my emotions. Sometimes I get triggered and I can't even calm myself down. I'm blacked out. I'm no longer calm, at peace. You can't talk me off off this situation. I'm mad, right? But now I start to, after so long of like really honing in on like myself and my personality and, learning what mattered in the world, what doesn't matter in the world, what matters to me, what doesn't matter to me. I've, gotten to a place where things are pretty much balanced. You know what I'm saying? I still, have my little ways of getting upset with people, because I feel they should know better over simple situations. But in God's honest truth, if they knew better, they do better. So I know for sure that they don't know better, because there's always a better way. Love and happiness and kindness and peace is always better than being angry at any given time of any portion of any moment, because it's true understanding. And when you truly understand that a person who's behaving not out of love, not out of peace, not out of respect, is really either in fear or hurting somewhere deep inside within themselves, right? And this situation is too much for them to handle, so they can't contain their emotions. So now they act out a little bit. And just knowing that sometimes ain't enough. I do my best to try to be at peace and, understand that the person in front of me who's overreacting is going through something. They have issues that they just can't discern, and they are in fear or they're hurting deep inside, you know what I'm saying? And it seems minor, even if they just have an attitude about, like, you ain't fixed they food right if you work at a restaurant, and the person has an attitude and they're not kind and compassionate and understanding, like, that's what's happening. Like, they hurting about something that's a little bit bigger than the situation. It's always like that. They're unhappy with something. And so vice versa, if somebody's having a bad day and they fix your food wrong, you know what I'm saying? They brought it out a little sloppy and they have an attitude while they serving you, you know what I'm saying? That person too is hurting and fears something and don't know how to, handle their situation, whatever it is. And sometimes it's so deeply rooted in like childhood trauma or a behavior or, something that was learned and it's part of their personality that they think they need to keep, or for sure their perspective is off. It's always that they have a skewed perspective that doesn't see peace and love and joy and respect and kindness and care. So what's the solution to that, right? So what I've learned to do is sit with myself and feel the emotion, you know what I'm saying, first. I can always detach myself from the emotion, no matter, even if I know what it is. Like, somebody could have, ran into my car, which actually happened. Somebody could have ran into my car and then blame me for the situation. I can choose to look at them, knowing that I'm not in the wrong, knowing that I know that they're in the wrong, and believing that they know that they're in the wrong, if that makes sense. And just look at them and observe them. Detach myself from the situation. My mind isn't on my car thinking about that it got hit. My mind isn't on now I'm financially in a bind because this person was irresponsible and hit my car. I'm detached from that thought. I'm not allowing, oh my God, what next? You could have killed me, to bother me. I'm alive. I'm immediately snapped in on I'm okay. Boom. And just observing that was an event that happened. Boom. From that space, I can just sit and observe the person act out because they're afraid of something that they just did and don't want to take responsibility. I can, just be grateful for the fact that I'm okay, and choose not to be angry and understand that, hey man, that happened. I'm good. I'm gonna get another car. That person's okay. We alive. This ain't nothing but material. It's just a car. I don't care how expensive it was. It could have been $1 million car. I get to buy the opportunity to buy another one, drive another one. You know what I'm saying? That's the space I like to look at life from. And you have to first be able to do that with yourself. Like, when you looking in the mirror and you see yourself, are you happy with yourself, or are you nitpicking at yourself? Are you looking at your hair and saying you wish you had money to get your hair done, or you don't like your hair texture, which is, don't do yourself like that, especially with the things you come with. You better love your default state when it's in its lesser state versus its highest state. You know what I'm saying? Whether you got a haircut or not, whether you got your hair done or not, whether you sick or not. You know, whether you got some features about yourself that you wish you didn't have or not. Like, love that feature. It's yours. You know what I mean? You gotta be in tune with your star player. Matter of fact, use that as an advantage to say, you know what? I have this feature, and watch me accomplish something with this feature, because my soul is bigger than what you see. You know what I mean? I am the thing. I'm not my body. You know what I'm saying? My body is what it is, and I appreciate it for what it is, and it's gonna be my vehicle to get me the things that I want. Because your body is nothing but a tool. These are hands. You have a mind to think that you can control the body with, to go and do whatever you want to do. So that's how I like to look at life and present life to myself. But I'm gonna be honest, it's not always the easiest. Sometimes, you know, an old thought comes up and I go into default mode where I'm really worried about the thought that I'm having, thinking that, you know, it's to my detriment. And it never really is, you know. It's never really to your detriment. There's something to gain from each situation that you've ever been in. Now, in the moment, it may not seem like that. In the moment, it may feel like, you know, the odds are against you. You know, you look at it like the why me situation, you know what I'm saying? But at any time, it could be you. At any time. Like, it's a lot of people that you see walk around ignorantly happy and, you know, bragging about themselves and their lives and stuff like that, in a way to pull away from other people as though they're better than. That happens. You know what I'm saying? So don't get that confused with people who are just genuinely happy with themselves and understand and feel blessings. So don't hate on someone for bragging about themselves, because that's how they see themselves, and that is what it is. But also don't succumb to the energies of people who brag on themselves to pull you down, you know, to tell you that you're less than, and compare the parts of themselves that they like and against the parts of you that they don't like, and you believe that. That's because it's not true. They just talking from a perspective. You can have a completely different perspective that benefits you, which is what you should always have. Always have the perspective that benefits you, but also don't let the perspective that you have that benefits you not benefit someone else. That's the balance. That's the key. So you got to have that same perspective about yourself at all times. Like, always have the perspective that who you are at any state is capable of changing and being in a better state than what it is. Always, you know. For instance, I woke up this morning with the intentions on being at work like way early, you know, because we short-staffed, and it's you know, only 2 people working at the location, and so I'm one of the other 2 people. You know, we down a guy, but I plan on getting to work early, but, you know, circumstances didn't allow me to, or maybe I just didn't get up in time. I didn't time it right. So now I'm on my way to work, probably just before the time I'm hoping. But if I made it right after the time that we supposed to open, you know, I'll be late. And, you know, typically most people I know, and including myself at some point in time, will be completely worried about, you know, not getting to work on time. And thinking that my job is, you know, at risk. Don't want to deal with the confrontation of, you know, what a manager above me may say. So I don't feel that way, you know what I'm saying? Like, I'm at peace with the choices that I made to get here, and I'm doing it, you know, safely, peacefully, and I'm obviously enjoying myself talking to you guys. But I want to get to the work of what it took to get to that place. All right, so here's the steps, and I'm going to stay focused. For one, I started to understand emotions, right? You either feel good or you feel bad. If you break it down and keep it like that and keep it simple, and you have to learn how to be honest with yourself. You know, if you feel bad, you feel bad. If you feel good, you feel good. And you got to learn the difference. So what feeling bad feels like, you know, is feeling sad, feeling anxious, not feeling happy, you confused, something on you is hurting, you know, you're emotionally unstable, you're angry, You know, anything that feels like that, that's what you want to say is like, you know, we call it negative emotions or, you know, whatever that is, the other side of the spectrum. Then you have the other side where you feel happy, you feel joyful, you feel, you know, calm, you feel, you know, complete, you feel whole, you know, you having fun, you know, life is amazing, you smiling, you genuinely happy, you know what I'm saying? And so that's the positive side, right? So the best thing to do is to learn what really happy to you is and really sad to you is, what really angry to you is as opposed to really joyful, and understand what calm and peace is. So you can feel your emotions out. You know when you're angry and you know when you're happy. You know when you calm, you know, like you just looking out the window and like, but there's a nice positive vibe to you. You know, you may be daydreaming about something really happy. Like that's from there on to joyful and excited is where you kind of want to live in that range. We all strive for that, you know. That's the thing. But I want to tell you, you will feel those days where you feel sad. You will feel angry. You will feel upset. And it's okay. Like, forgive yourself for ever feeling angry and upset because you're a human. You know what I mean? Like, I don't want to say you're supposed to or you have to, but I'm going to tell you the benefits of feeling angry and feeling joyful. Not joyful. Feeling angry, feeling sad, feeling upset. The benefits of that is once you do feel it, you can remember what it feels like. And the more you remember what it feels like, the more you can identify it. And so if you ever feel that way and you got off your rocker, don't feel bad, because that'll send you into a downward spiral of depression because you're judging yourself for getting angry like you made a mistake. You didn't make a mistake. That's just your mindset, and you perfectly align with where you are supposed to be in life at any given time, whether you're angry, whether you murderously mad, you know what I mean? Literally murderously mad, like where you about to do something or you've done something in your life. I'm talking that extreme. You've went through the phase of what that feels like. Reflect on how you got to that phase, though. Think about the steps that it took to get you to that space. What were the events that took place to make you that angry, to make you that upset, to make you that sad? Like, really look at it, dig into it. And then you'll find the reason. And when you find the reason, start to ask yourself, why do I feel this way about that? And keep questioning. And it's not easy. It's going to take a long process. I'm going to be honest. It took me a while, a very long time in comparison to how much life I've lived up to this point. Like, it took up a nice majority of a block of my time trying to get down to, you know, the reasons why I feel that way. And I still haven't found them all. You know what I mean? I'm still questioning. I'm still seeking, trying to understand, you know, things that upset me, things that make me not super secure, you know, things that make me like I'm nervous to go do a show right now in front of 100,000 people, or to get on stage and talk like this to a room full of people and be the center of attention. But I know, like, the fact that I know that I would be nervous to do that is a good indication that there's some work to do, which is great. You know, there's progress. I mean, I got something to work towards, which means that it's gonna be an exciting journey. You know, like, imagine how boring life would be if you were just content with everything all the time, always. It's not that exciting. So you need your ups and your downs to balance you out so that you can experience fear to understand and experience and know what real true love is. You need that contrast. So that's why you always got to forgive yourself. Don't feel bad for ever feeling the negative sides of the contrast of life. That's part of being a human being, I believe. Because if you never experience pain, would you ever experience peace? If you never experience, you know, bad weather, would you be able to respect and enjoy the sunshine? You know, the trick is to learn how to enjoy the, you know, the downs too. You know what I mean? Like, when I'm having a day where it feels like things are just getting in my way, and, like, you know, I'm not making progress because something broke, or, you know, the weather didn't permit me to do something that I wanted to do. I look at those moments as, you know, the source, you know, that I believe in, or just the cause and effect of the world right now is saying I can't, because I obviously have something in a way. I couldn't do it in the way that I intended to do it. So that force is, showing me that, hey, man, you're not in 100% control. So I have to, appease to it and understand that right now ain't my time. But, hey, it's going to be another time that I'm really going to get to enjoy it. And now that I didn't get to enjoy what I wanted it to, the anticipation of getting to do it when I do it, so joyous, man. It's like, I got held up from it. That means you just get to build my energy up. So by the time that I do get to, receive what I want and enjoy what I want, it's going to be that much more like worth it. It's kind of like taking that trip to Disney World as a kid. You see Disney World on TV, you inspire, boom, the idea is planted in your mind. You just wondering what Disneyland feels like. I can't wait till I'm able to go to Disneyland. And Disneyland. But you ain't went yet, you know what I'm saying? Just the excitement, just the idea of it. And then some type of way, the options of Disneyland start to pop up. Boom. You see little ways that you can get to Disneyland. They have advertisements. So you might ask your parent, can you take me to Disneyland? Whatever. It may be like months to years later before you ever get to go to Disneyland. But if you held on to the idea of I want to go to Disneyland in your mind, like consistently, the time that you do get to go, it's going to be a decent, dope experience. You know what I'm saying? It may not be what you thought it was, or maybe it's more than what you thought it was. Maybe it's exactly what you thought it was. But eventually, the point is you got to go. You know what I'm saying? As long as you hold the thought, though, you got to hold the thought. Because if you don't hold the thought, you forget about it. And then other things come into mind. So, long story short, do your best to try to find your center, find peace, find joy, find love. If you get knocked off that frequency and you forget, that's okay. Remember to forgive yourself, love yourself, experience yourself, and understand that you're not all you got, but you're the first person to respond to you, if that makes sense. Like, you're the closest source you got. I'm gonna put it like that. Yeah. You may not be all you got, but you're the closest source you got. You're your first source. You're the first responder to any situation that you're in. Before anything, you're the source, right? You got to know that. You're the source. Like, in order to go get water, even if somebody else get it for you, the thought popped in your head, you're the source of the water being brought to you. You understand what I'm saying? So, remember that you're the source, and you got to be good to the source. You got to nurture the source. You got to make sure that the source is good in mobility, because you need to be able to move good, which I really definitely want to talk to you guys about fitness. That is a passion of mine. And nutrition. I'm still discovering nutrition. I'm not the best nutritionist, but I'm definitely interested in that realm about what fuels the body, because your food does determine your mood too, I'm not gonna lie. And then balancing out your emotions. So I did my best to try to discuss positive emotions versus negative emotions, good versus bad, feeling bad, but experiencing the ups and downs is normal. Forgiving yourself, and all of those things. But I'm getting a little sidetracked. I don't want to mess the message up, so I know for sure that there were some things in there that you guys can take away. But I'm gonna end this video right now, and if you have any questions and concerns and want to get down to a detail that you heard that I didn't explain, please leave a comment below or reach out to me some type of way on social media. On all my social media, I'm De.aR Angel. So the way to spell that is De.aR Angel. So I'm mostly on Instagram, so please send me a DM there. And I'm somewhere on my other channels, but that's how you reach me the quickest. But what I want you guys to do is start leaving comments if you do see this video. Leave your questions, your statements, and have discussions amongst yourself, and that helps me too come up with other ideas and topics and know what to talk about, because I'm pulling all of this from my own mind. But there's a bunch of other things I like to discuss and learn from you guys as well too. I'm a student of life, and that's all I am. So hope you guys enjoyed this video. As always, stay positive, be happy, be blessed, and I'll see you on the next video.